So let's talk about AppSheet. Now, AppSheet is a really cool tool that you can consider using for your app hack. What it allows you to do is to build apps with spreadsheets. So using spreadsheets as your foundation, anyone can create an app with AppSheets. So I want to quickly show you a little bit about how it works. So there are really three of our favorite features that are baked into AppSheet. First of all, you get a lot of flexibility. You don't have to build your app just with a spreadsheet. You can also use something that AppSheet calls formulas. And what they are, they're these logic-based filters that allow you to tell the app what to do and what not to do. You don't have to do it with your spreadsheet. So if you're like, ooh, I hate Excel, I'm not really good with spreadsheets, you can choose whether or not you want to build your app through a spreadsheet or through a logic-based filter called a formula inside of AppSheet. So you get that flexibility. Our second favorite thing is that there's a lot of connectivity. For those of you who are really thinking about scaling your app out, you don't have to always stay connecting your app database with a spreadsheet. You could eventually move on to connect with databases like SQL or really any other sort of API you're able to integrate here. And so you get a lot of connectivity. You don't just have to connect with a spreadsheet, although it's a great place to start. You get a little bit more flexibility with AppSheet, which is great for those of you who want to scale, great for those of you who want to build an enterprise app or a data-based app. Finally, you get access to a really awesome community. AppSheets has a Google Forms community where you can ask questions, get your questions answered, see what other people are building directly from AppSheets. And so it allows you to get a really good feel for what's going on and how to use the tool if you get stuck. Now, a good friend of mine, Oscar, is going to give us a quick walkthrough in terms of what AppSheets looks like on the inside.
Everything you see here is now based off of the spreadsheet that I'll show you now. So for instance, here's a bunch of different views. So like here, for instance, you've got all the different store names, right? So here's a couple of different stores within a chain. And then you can have a look at the store. You can have a look at the actual event that's happening. So here's a presentation by these guys. You can maybe look at some news. So let's say here's some news that pops up. You know, it's filling backlogs of a lot, blah blah blah, and then you can click on the link to view more news. There's some featured products. So, for instance, here's new tools that have come in stock or whatever it may be. And you can find links to reviews and that sort of thing. You can also have a look at store listings. So here's all the different stores and the cities they're in. You can call the store directly from the app. Here's a map, so you can have a look at where, you know, in this case, a stores could be anything with a location, can be mapped, can link to some how-to videos. And here's, for instance, a link to this hardware chain's Twitter and Facebook profiles and things like that. So that's kind of very basic stuff, right? Now this app is only, you can say, distributing information. So all the information stored on a Google spreadsheet and people can view it via the app. But what's great about, well, I'm jumping a bit ahead, but I mean, what's amazing about AppSheet is it allows you to, if you want, if you've got an app that you need to capture data to a spreadsheet, then you can do that. Now, many app building platforms don't actually do that. If you really look at them, what happens is either they're very, very simple in that it's only a sort of a place to collect other feeds. So maybe it says it's an app builder, but it really only takes in a feed from, let's say, from Facebook or from Twitter, or it just sort of appifies your website, but you can't write data to it. Then you get other app builders that allow you to write data to a database, but then it does actually require some sort of coding experience. Whereas AppSheet gives you the power of writing to a database, but you don't have to code to do it. All right, so you still with me?
Yep, totally.
Yeah, great, cool. So just as an example, like, I mean, I put this app together when I just did it the first time. like in less than an hour. And that's super fast for any sort of app building. So for instance, here I've got a store listing sheet that's literally just got all the information of different stores, the phone number, operating hours, address, that sort of thing. Then you've got all these events. So I've just listed them again just in a sheet. How-to videos, as simple as just giving it a title and inserting the YouTube link. Same sort of thing in this case with the news. Featured products as well. Then I've got links to images and a URL for the review. And the digital accounts, then again, just a title. Then this was just a slightly different way of linking to or including an image in the app is via a folder. Whereas in the tutorial, it just shows you the other ways using a web link. And here's the digital accounts. And then from this, I mean, this is, so you just basically launch, like you've got an add-on, you install the AppSheet add-on, you say launch. Now it's busy working. And then you just got to give it a second to do its thing, and you just say go. And now it's creating a brand new app because I'm launching this second one. And then now it's just initializing. So what AppSheet's doing is it's looking through all of the data and it's picking out the best views that it thinks I will need. So for instance, here let's have a look. This popped up. I know this is actually looking at the previous one, but what will happen then is it gets about 90% of this correct. It's like really amazing. It'll like, for instance, you know, it picks up that I've got a store listing and that I've got location data, so it automatically adds its map, for instance. It's just super fast. It's really mind-blowing. So then what you're looking at the moment is the editor. So this is, for instance, where you can, you know, you're just basically telling AppSheet what is in each of the columns. You know, if you want to tweak anything, just tell it what's in a column. You've got views. You can add a bunch of different views. You can, you know, change quite a bit of the formatting. So, you know, the type of fonts that are used, color schemes, things like that.
Awesome. So when it comes to price, we give AppSheet an A+. You are able to build your prototype totally for free, and you only have to pay when you're ready to deploy your app to the public. You have some options. You can either pay per user or pay for your app per app, but only when you deploy. Let me actually show you some of the pricing options. So it's always free for your own personal use and when you're setting it up and getting it tested, right? So you can see that here, that you could always have this free plan, but then you also have access to these 3 other plans. This $10 per app per month plan for up to 100 users. Then if you have more than 100 users, it's $20 per app per month. And for Publisher Pro, so that's more for corporate data sources, you're going to pull in data from something more sophisticated, not a spreadsheet, but from something else. Or if you want a totally white label app, it's $50 per app per month if you start really getting big with your company. Cool? So I wanted to just give you a quick rundown on what the pricing options are. It's pretty competitive for a tool of its kind. When it comes to ease of use, we give AppSheet an A. You can really get started in minutes, and you get access to an awesome community of non-technical developers who are also using AppSheet, so you can ask your questions there. Finally, when it comes to bells and whistles, we give AppSheet an A-. There are a few features that would be really nice to have, but are not super critical. But if you're kind of tech savvy, you can find a way to make them work. Also, you get a little bit of limited options when it comes to customizing the UI. That is the look and feel of the app. So you get lots of ability and capability on the back end from your data and your spreadsheets, all that stuff that you're pulling in. But you do get some limitations on what the front end, what people see when they use the app. You get some limitations on what that looks like. That's what your UI is. Great. So overall, we give AppSheet an A. It's an awesome tool for you to use. We would not be recommending it if it wasn't. But for those of you who are thinking about really creating these data-focused apps, or really like to use spreadsheets, can imagine what your app would look like in a spreadsheet format, this is a really good place for you to build and to create your project and your app hack. Cool. All right, let's talk about the next tool in the next lesson. Bye-bye.